Greetings, everyone. My bad. Now I can see some people. Fantastic. We're getting everybody back in here. Yay, Wendell. Well, that was slightly strange. Here it is. I can't believe it's this amount of time. And then I clicked in the meeting for all when I got off of the cell phone and onto the computer. So it kicked us all off, apparently. No, just getting everybody back in. Alyssa, are you with us? Okay, now I can make some co-hosts. So if I make you some co-hosts, you guys just help me get people back in the room. Okay, Alyssa, you're still with us?
Yeah, I just realized that I got kicked out not too long ago.
Okay, it was all me. I apologize. I went from one device to the other and ended up uh, losing you and everybody else. So, so here we are back. Um, and it's good. I can now see faces. I couldn't see before, so it's good to see everybody. Alyssa, do you want to pick up right where the last graph I saw was the one that just looked lots of lines and graphs going all over? Do you know, you want to just jump back in about where you,
Yeah, I can jump back in.
okay.
Uh, let's see. Oh, let me see. Let me put this here. Mm, Let me just. Okay, so right. Okay, could you see it?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, is this the graph that you remember, or was it this one?
I thought I remembered one much busier, but my screen was very
Yeah, it's
small.
it's the next one, I think.
Okay.
This one?
No, wait, sorry. It's either the second or the third one.
Is the second or third one? Okay.
Mm.
I'll go back from over here. So, and I'll be quick. So over here, this is the project clusters. I decided to focus on just one project at a time because there were some instances where the total amount approved was for more than one project. Like, for example, agriculture and health, nutrition and protection. It was like that. And I wanted to look at each individual project. So it's not perfect and it doesn't give us the full picture, but it does at least give us a rough idea of how the funds are allocated. So for food assistance, we can see that a lot of the funds were allocated to food assistance in 2015, but we can see a decrease over the years. And as food assistance has decreased, agriculture has increased, which could potentially mean that we're trying to go for a more long-term solution for food. Uh, um, did I say something wrong or? Oh, Okay, sorry. Uh, okay, so yeah. Anyway, so then going into the emergency type, we can see that displacement, it has the most amount of money allocated. We can see a decrease in the funds allocated to, like, we can see, like, for displacement over here,
Beg
people,
pardon, Alyssa.
huh?
You
Yeah,
seem to have
yeah.
clicked back to the first slide rather than the next graph.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, this one.
Oh, you've got
Was
the
I here?
first slide on big here.
Uh, wait, was I here before? Or is this the one you meant, or
Nothing's changing.
that's odd. I'm moving between the different slides. Can you guys see that, or
I can't. Okay, so that's a technical issue.
You reshare, if you can reshare your screen, your presentation. Yeah, it's stuck.
yeah? I'll just reshare it. It's my bad.
It's okay.
Okay, so let me just reshare. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Ah, yes,
That's
it's
the
good now.
one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right. Okay, so we were here, right? And then I moved on to the third slide, I think. Um, okay, so as we can see for the displacement, so the funds for displacement has decreased over the years. We could see though that the amount of funds that were allocated has sorry about that. So it has changed for it has increased for different types of emergencies over the years, but displacement is still the one type of emergency that we put the most money in, which makes sense because for emergencies like a flood and an earthquake, even when like even when the disaster for those are over, there we still have to deal with the people that had to move away to a safer location. It's like in Florida when we go through a hurricane. Some people have to evacuate the area that they're in because it's too dangerous to be around, which is why they have the relocation until like the homes are rebuilt. And people, in my experience at least, people have been able to move back once the homes are rebuilt, but the people still need a place to stay until everything is fixed. So that's why we probably have displacement as the one area we have the most amount of funds in. And we also see for drought in 2022, we have a spike in drought over here. And this is also the year where we have animal disease. So it could potentially mean that spike in, sorry, the spike in the spike we had with drought could potentially relate to the animal disease. Like maybe that's part of that as well. And oh, here are my resources. I have
Hey, Alyssa, I'm so sorry to stop you, but it seems like your screen recording is frozen. Could
my
you try
screen.
to, yeah, it's screen sharing, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
uh,
I'm gonna force it from over this side. Maybe you could, yeah, there you go.
okay. I could stop the screen share and do it, put it back on
It seems to
again.
be fixed now. I'm
Yeah,
confused,
it's
but
good.
okay.
It's good from my side now.
Sweet.
Everything's
Yeah,
good now.
I
We're
just
seeing the
turned it off
references
and
right
on
now.
again from my side. If you're a co-host, you can just like force do it. So
Force do it.
yeah, you know when you hit participants and there's a button to stop sharing on people, you could like turn off and people's microphones and stuff like that. So you just turn it off and you know.
Oh, so just stop the share right now.
No, it's sharing. It
It's
works.
good now. It's
Oh,
good. You're
it
okay
works.
now.
Yep.
Oh,
It's on the
okay.
references page, right? That's where you want to be?
Yeah, I'm at the references page right now.
Sweet. Okay, continue. Go ahead.
Okay, so as you can see, these are my references. I have the original file for, I have the original area where you can find the database right here. I also included the file that I also included like the name of the file over here where I had the filter data because I had to filter it so I could use it better and in a more proper way. I also have the Tableau area that where you could find my my data my data analysis project as well over here. So that's everything. Um,
All right.
anyway.
Well, thank you very much. Yay. All right. Uh, Alyssa, I think with technical difficulties at this part in the program, when we're kind of like at that plateau, I think it's just perfectly fitting. We appreciate you going first and presenting your data and everything. So, I do want to bring up two things real quick. One really, really great, and one really, really like crazy. But the first one is save the date on August 13th. It's our General Assembly that's coming up. We're going to have a special professional development evening, and we have a software engineer from Google going to do something with us. And then we have a team from the Coons Conference, the Academic Council of the United Nations system, that they're from the African continent. It's a team of them, and they are going to explore the topic of who owns the data. So, who owns the data? That's a good, interesting idea. But so special night, August 13th. We also have so just want to make sure everybody knew about that professional development workshop coming up. So one more um, uh, big thing to do before before the session ends in a few weeks. All right, so that was the big thing. Now the bad thing is, no, someone is out there impersonating me, asking for gift cards. Can you believe that? That is not me. Okay. And you know that. And that's why you guys have been letting me know that that's happening. I think that it's on somebody on WhatsApp is asking, and somebody has got some emails about it, and y'all sent me the screenshots and all of that. So, that's not me. You know better than to send out gift cards, and you know what that's all about. And, there you go. Okay. So we'll evaluate all that at the end of the semester and see where we go from there as far as, you know, next steps. All right, and with that good thing about the professional development workshop on the 13th, and the bad thing about do not even talk gift cards with anybody, um, let's go ahead and go to our next person on the list. I know there's several of you, but who is on the list who's ready to present today, who has not presented before the General Assembly at all? And I also know that Yosef is Eunice, I'm sorry, Eunice is he here? He's one of those that's ready but hasn't presented yet.
That's me. I haven't presented yet.
Oh, let's hear it. Oh, fantastic. Mohamed, excellent. And are you gonna, well, I know you do both data analytics and platform development, so it's gonna be interesting to see what you present about. But Blake, can you please introduce Mohamed
All
for
right.
us?
He didn't put a introduction in the uh list, so I don't know anything. I can find his profile on the ISS website if
There
you
you go. That's what that intern directory is for. So introduce us.
just give me a minute to find him real quick.
All right, so every Monday we show up for the GAPS meeting, and that's the General Assembly preparatory meeting where we put together the plan for tonight or every Thursday. And one of those things is when you request some time before the General Assembly that you make sure we're able to introduce you so that you transfer your work, your bio from the intern directory into our document that we have ready for tonight's agenda. So how are we coming on that?
And I found it.
Okay.
Muhammad has a computer science is a computer science student at Indiana University with an interest in backed development and software engineering. And he has a presentation for us today.
All right. I think you're on mute, Mohamed, but we're ready when you are.
Okay, I'll start sharing. Window. Here. Can you see the screen?
Yes, as soon as you put it on present mode, we'll be set.
Oh, yes. Present mode.
Or
Okay.
presentation, whatever it's called.
Okay. Now, like you can see it now, right?
We can
Yes.
see it, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Muhammad Arifai. Today, I'll be presenting my Power BI dashboard and SDJ9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. My project focuses on analyzing data and analyzing global internet access using data from the World Bank. About SDJ9. I chose SDJ9 because digital infrastructure is an important part of innovation and economic development, internet access, and it supports education and communication, and to access information that's important. And I'm going to see the difference across countries and identify where investment is needed. Now, for this project, I used the World Bank's individuals using the internet dataset. This dataset contains internet usage information for countries over multiple years. I imported the data to Power BI and create an interactive dashboard. Dashboard overview. For this project, as you can see, I create a line chart. This line chart it shows how average internet usage has changed over time. You can see from 2002 to 2020, it has increased. And I have created a bar chart. This is based on countries and which country uses the most internet, and a map chart. This is by countries. Yeah, and also a slicer to pick each country individually. And the key findings. One of the main findings is that internet access has increased significantly over the years. However, there are still large differences between countries. Some countries have very internet usage, while others have a little internet usage and limited access. These differences highlight the importance of counting to invest in digital infrastructure. And here's the map that based on country shows each country and the usage, and highlights the differences in internet access. And by making it easier to visualize global internet access. Organizations and policymakers can use this type of analysis to identify regions where infrastructure improvements are needed. In conclusion, Power BI is a useful tool for transforming data into meaningful visualization. This project demonstrates how public data can be used to better understand global challenges related to digital infrastructure. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions. Mhm.
Do we have any questions? Anyone? Well, it was really good to hear from you. And yes, and so thank you for
Oh,
presenting. Go ahead, Tamika. You have a question for Mohana?
no, I just thought that his data that he has on his project was very insightful. Because when he talks about how internet access with his data set can help us, even though there's differences in different countries, that we're still able to have where internet access can help build a digital infrastructure. So I just think he did a pretty good job on it. I understood it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. I I tell you what, let's time moving forward, let's hear from Pa Amadou next. I see in the chat that he's ready and hasn't presented. And Blake, do you see Pa there? I know he's at John Hopkins.
I don't see him on the list, but I can look at the directory.
Okay. Pa, are you ready? Pa Amadou. Pa, are you in the room? Pa, check your mute. You might be muted. Might need to unmute yourself. And I don't know about you guys, but tonight Zoom is all out of whack. Like I can only see, Sarah, Richard, Danithi, Jamaica, Pa, and Ryan and Mohammed. Like I can't go back and forth and see everybody in the gallery, even though I know that everybody is here. Uh, so are you all noticing some changes in Zoom tonight?
Yes.
Yes. What are you, just real quick, what is something different that you're noticing that's different tonight?
Um, I don't know. It's just everything seems very slow, and the thing with the list is get screen share getting stuck isn't something I've actually seen before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And technology, of course, is changing so fast that the whatever systems or platforms you're used to, you see them constantly doing upgrades and this and that, but this has not been a smooth Zoom experience tonight, has it? But I personally can't look around in the gallery. I just didn't know if anyone else is able not to do that. Usually you just click the arrows and you can go see everybody on the next page and the next page and the next page, but that's not available tonight.
Yes.
So, all right, so Pa, I see you there. You're on mute, and this is
Yeah.
Mohammed. Could you stop screen sharing so that Pa can screen share?
Yeah, I'm ready to present.
Okay, so you can just put yours on screen share.
Okay.
But did we get a good introduction?
Not yet. Was
Okay.
about to introduce him. All right. He is pursuing a master's in international economics and finance, and his goal is to become a data analyst. This internship provides him the opportunity to learn and grow in the field of data and analytics. And he wants to give us a presentation today.
Yeah, can you guys see my presentation? Can you guys? Oh, okay.
Um, on mine it's stuck on the screen. It says has started
Okay.
screen sharing.
Can you see my
Same.
presentation now?
Me
think
too,
it's
it's still stuck.
still loading.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's still loading.
Okay.
Oh,
We're just gonna break out laughing in a little while, aren't we? So many things. Paul, you're doing everything right, but it hadn't started sharing quite yet. It's
Okay.
kind of frozen a little bit.
Oh, there we
There we
go.
go.
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Paul Rusala. I'm a master's student in Johns Hopkins Science. I'm pursuing international economics and finance. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys a presentation about the relationship between industrial growth and infrastructure development and innovation from 2013 to 2023. This is based on the UN SDG 9.
Do you want to put it in slideshow mode?
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Oh,
Maybe I shouldn't have brought it up.
okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, so now we go to the next, the first one. So this is my research question. How does digital infrastructure and technological innovation influence industrial growth in emerging economies? And I was testing three hypotheses. I just need to remove this. It's kind of in the way of my. Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry. Just go. Okay. Okay, yes. So how does digital infrastructure and technological innovation influence industrial growth in emerging economies? So my first hypothesis was greater digital infrastructure is associated with higher manufacturing value added. My second hypothesis was higher technology intensity in manufacturing exports. High tech exports as a percentage of manufacturing exports is associated with higher manufacturer value added. And my third hypothesis was greater innovation paying applications is positively associated with manufacturing value added. These are the seven countries I selected. Random seven emerging economies, which was Brazil, Egypt, Malaysia, Mexico, South Africa, Thailand, and Turkey. And the time period goes from 2013 to 2023. And then this is my data. So this is my dependent variable was my target, like the variable that I'm just trying to understand. The Sustainable Development Goal UN from the UN SDG database, I collected the manufacturer value added constant 2020 US dollars as a percentage of GDP. And then on my independent variables, I went to the World Intellectual Property Organization, and I got total paying applications, direct and PCT national phase entries. Then I went to the World Bank and I collected data on high technology exports as a percentage of manufacturing export. And then internet users as a percentage of population. And then these are my control variables from the World Bank. I got foreign direct investment net inflows as a percentage of GDP, GDP per capita, and then I also got some data on our world data, the unemployment rate. This is my descriptive statistic summary of the data set. Seven emerging market countries were observed over 2013 to 2023, a total of 77 country-year observations. Manufacturing value ranged from 9.8% to 27.63% of GDP, and the average was 18.4%. High technology exports range from 0.5% to 59%, with an average of 17.2%. Paying applications ranged from 1,914 to 30,884. The average was 10,885, and then internet users average ranged from 28.94% to 97.69%. The average was 65%. Okay. I ran a fixed effects regression model which is the type of regression you would use for this case because there are multiple countries and it would and I wanted to isolate away the country specific effects that would like bias the results. So I ran a fixed effects regression, which helps isolate these country specific characteristics and time shocks that impact all variables. So the panes were log transformed in order to reduce the skewness because that would cause bias. So, and you can see here, these are my results. So the main internet users had a negative 0.0503%. So that means that for every 1% increase in internet users in the population, the manufacturing value added is expected to actually decrease by 0.0503%. And it was actually statistically significant. So this it was actually statistically significant. So this led to me rejecting my first hypothesis, and then the high technology exports was actually had a positive impact. It was for every 1% of high technology exports, manufacturing value added was expected to increase by 0.0560%, and it was statistically significant. So which led to me supporting my second hypothesis, and my third hypothesis was a log panes, which I log transformed. It was 0.0052, but it was not statistically significant. So it means that there was no real relationship between pains and manufacturing value added. So this led to me rejecting my no my re re rejecting my hypothesis. And then these are just the control variables which don't really like matter, which are not like not the main story, so we can not have to focus on that. And then my model diagnostics was that there was no severe multiclinearity. Multiclinearity just means that when the independent variables are correlated with each other, which can actually end up biasing my results. So unfortunately, there was no severe multiclinearity, and I used a robust standard errors node called the discourse gradient in order to address the heteroscedasticity, the serial correlation, and the cross-sectional dependence. These are all problems that actually bias and lead to like type 1 and type 2 errors in my regressions. So it helped to remove these three problems. And then afterwards I did some visual analysis, some graph and statistical analysis visually, and this was the relationship between manufacturing value added and high technology exports. As you can see, trend the scatter plot trend here shows a overall positive relationship between manufacturing value added and high technology exports. However, it's important to know that country-specific trends reveal heterogeneity. Malaysia had a strong positive trend, which is the yellow one here. You can see it has a strong positive trend, but like Thailand, Mexico, and Egypt, Thailand, Thailand is the purple one, Mexico is the orange, and Egypt is the green one. You can see they all had downward trends. So this indicated that technology exports alone are insufficient to capturing manufacturing value without supportive industrial policies. But the overall trend is clearly a positive relationship between technology exports, between high technology exports and manufacturing value added. Digital infrastructure and manufacturing value added. This heat map clearly shows that internet access has substantially increased across all countries, but manufacturing value did not increase at the same rate. Manufacturing value showed a flat or declining trend for most countries. As we can see, the purple one is Thailand. It's actually declining as internet users is increasing. And South Africa, which is the red one, and South Africa and Egypt too, and Brazil, you can see it's all decreasing. So it shows that it's mostly flat or declining trends. So the findings clearly suggest that greater digitalization is associated with a declining manufacturing share of GDP, potentially reflecting that structural transformations towards services. These services, like the technology and services sectors, grow faster and they increasingly dominate the GDP, thereby decreasing the manufacturing share of GDP. And then this was a relationship between pay and applications and manufacturing value added. As we can see here, there are multiple trends where the trend lines go up and down. So it shows that there's a weak and inconsistent relationship between payments and manufacturing value added across emerging economies. There's no clear relationship, as you can see. The paying activity was not statistically associated with the manufacturing value added in this sample. Innovation in emerging economies is increasingly directed towards services and technology and may take time to actually affect the manufacturing sector. Based on my analysis, I would say these emerging economies are more focused. Most of the innovation seems to be going towards the technology and service sector rather than the manufacturing sector. And in the manufacturing sector, it just takes time to like maybe for these innovations that actually have an effect. So in our discussion, the hypothesis one was rejected. Internet users had a negative relationship and not a positive relationship with manufacturing value added. Digitalization may shift emerging economies towards services and technology away from manufacturing. The hypothesis two was supported. High technology exports are positive. Technology intensity in manufacturing exports drives value addition. As we can see, there was a overall positive relationship between the high technology exports and manufacturing value added. And then hypothesis three was rejected. The pains had no statistically significant relationship with manufacturing value added as a percentage of GDP. Pains are directed towards other sectors like the services and technology or take time to affect the manufacturing industry. These are my main takeaways. Structural transformation is shifting economic activity from manufacturing towards services and technology. Technology intensity in manufacturing exports significantly boosts manufacturing value added. Digitalization accelerates structural transformation away from manufacturing. Innovation pains do not directly translate to manufacturing growth. And then these were the limitations of my study. The sample size was obviously small, 7 countries, 77 total observations. The results may not generalize to all emerging economies. My measurements pains measure innovation output, but not all innovation. Internet uses a broad measure and does not capture quality or access. And then the causality was obviously fixed effects control for the time invariant country characteristics, but they do not fully establish that causal relationship. And the time lags, patent digitalization may take time to affect manufacturing. Future research should extend the time horizon. And then lastly, for future research, we can include more emerging economies, which like these ones here, and then we can improve our measures by collecting data on R&D spending, broadband quality, firm innovation level data, and then number three, we can use different other techniques to identify causal identification, like instrumental variables or natural experiments to establish causality. Or number four, dynamic analysis. We can extend the time period and use dynamic panel models. And then number five is sectoral analysis. We can disaggregate manufacturing into high tech, medium tech, and low tech sectors. And that is the end of my presentation.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions?
How about questions? Yes, exactly. Anybody have any questions for Paul Amadou?
Excellent presentation. You went very deep dive. Just wanted to understand, have you done some outlier detection in the data set? Because I could spot in the patent section when you were doing a regression,
Yes.
there could be alternative lines that could be drawn.
Yes. I did do outlier. I did do outlier detection actually, and the biggest problem was that the pains once. That's why I log transformed the paint data
Yeah,
because there were some
because
outlier issues.
in this, see if you can spot Malaysia,
Yeah.
you can clearly see that the lines could be drawn on a straighter line than the inclined panel, and it will
Yes, that's
still fit
true.
the regression line, the patents line. Yeah, look at
Yes,
the look
that
at
is true.
Malaysia.
Malaysia is the orange one. Yes. Malaysia is the yellow one, like the one.
Yellow one, yeah.
Yeah, the yellow
Yeah, so
one.
the line could be straighter and it will still be a better line rather than having an inclined 45-degree line.
Yeah, I used trend line. I used Tableau and I created trend lines basically.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. Well, I did do outlier detection, and there was no like that's paints. Well, the paints was the only one that I had to log transform because it was skewed towards the. When I looked at the box plot, it was skewed towards the upper part, so I had to log transform it in the regression. This
Yeah.
yeah in my regression work.
Interesting. Good,
Yeah,
good presentation.
thank you.
I
Yeah,
see
Natalie.
Natalie has a question as well.
Yeah.
Natalie?
Yes, thank you. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the presentation. That was very interesting, very
Yeah.
well thought through. I have a question about your VIF. Can you
Yes.
take me back to that slide for a minute?
Yes. It was where was it? Oh, it's here. Yes, no severe multiciliary. Yes.
Yes, just a quick one. Did you have any variables that were that had an interaction effect? Why
You
did you
mean
choose to do VIF? Maybe that's my question.
I I just do it was just more of just a diagnostic test. I just wanted to make sure that the independent variables were not highly correlated with each other because if they were highly correlated, then that would inflate my standard errors and lead to type 1 and type 2 errors. That's why, and fortunately there was no severe none of the independent variables were or they were all under 5.
I get that. I was just wondering if, because if you choose to go into VIF,
Yeah.
maybe the first thing you might want to consider is the interaction effect of the variables, because that's when your VIF will then be more, what should I say? It will be more significant because you're looking at those variables actually interacting because it is a variable inflation factor. So that factor is inflated as a result of interaction. So if you're not doing any interaction between factors when you're doing your linear regression model, then
Mhm.
maybe it's something you want to think about doing next time before you do that VIF factor.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the causal. I'm so like this was more I'm focused more on the causal impact of the variables of those three variables on a manufacturing value added. So that's why the multilinearity I wasn't too focused on the interaction of the independent variables because I'm just looking more at the causal impact.
But
Yeah.
Natalie,
Yep.
interaction and VIF are two different concepts altogether because your VIF is basically wanting to see whether the variables are independent, whereas interaction is a concept where you are wanting to see if by adding two variables, the effect of the variable enhances.
Oh yes, that's true because the interaction is when you multiply two variables together and then you test to see how. Yeah, I did not do that actually.
Yeah, but your VIF is actually a factor of the interaction between different variables. So if you have more than one variable, and in your linear regression model, there's going to be some kind of interaction factor that is going to inflate that VIF number.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that because it never crossed my mind more about I didn't really look at analyzing the interaction between the independent variables. But I'll definitely look into that.
But thank you so much. That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
And thank you, Pa Amadou, for the
Yeah,
uh, great presentation and the preceding discussion as well. So great
thank you.
work.
Thank you so much.
Um, Next, let's hear from Matthew Wazar. Matthew, I see in the chat that you're ready to present, and let's hear from Matthew. I know Matthew has been in the internship program for a while, and we definitely look forward to hearing from you. So, are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, and I'm not sure, Blake, do you have a introduction for Matthew? Because Matthew was in a previous group, um,
I
and then
don't
we had
see
two
him in our
Matthews in the
list.
program at one time. I think we have both Matthews in attendance right now. So Do we have a bio for Matthew Wazar?
He's not on the list, but again, I can look at the intern directory.
Okay. And one of the in between semesters, the platform gets a wonderful facelift and just changes to version, from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 or what have you. And one of the surprises this semester was that our intern directory actually worked. And we've enjoyed the functionality of the internship directory this semester. So
Um, so while
we
he's
should,
looking that up, quick question.
Mhm.
Why do you insist on introducing everybody?
That's just how we do things. And that's how, yeah, that's how we do things.
But why?
That's just how it's done in the professional world. I know I go to a breakfast, and actually I've been working with this group for, I don't know, since I was in my early 20s. And it's so funny because you have like four introductions until you get to the speaker. It's interesting. It's like
That's so
the
dumb.
intern to the founder introduces the person who's doing the flag intro, doing the flag and the prayer and all of that kind of good stuff, and they get introduced, and who introduces the next person. So it's just a way of doing things in the professional world. So welcome. This is how we do things. So yeah,
I've got his profile pulled up if you want me to go in and present or introduce him.
excellent, excellent.
Yeah. Um, Matthew is currently pursuing a graduate in cybersecurity after completing his bachelor's of science in computer science with a minor in information assurance of criminal justice from Pace University. He strives to deliver via hard work by maintaining strong communication with his colleagues. In his recent internship for a nonprofit organization, he proactively communicated with peers and managers on deliverables, and this created a very positive space as team members cooperated with each other when needed. And his recent internship gave him hands-on experience with data analytics, creating insights, dashboards, and he also worked on multiple projects with Unix, computing, network security, Java, Python, R, and PowerShell. Lastly, the roles and responsibilities detailed in this position aspire him as it helps him grow, learn, and give back to all shareholders. It would be a great honor and privilege to share this journey with the organization he is with. And he says, thank you for your time and consideration. And that is it.
Matthew.
Yes. Am I allowed to share my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right, cool. All right. Okay, so hold on. This bar's in the way. Okay, so today what I want to discuss about was understanding the concepts of human trafficking and how has been increasing since the early 2000s. What I did is I used one of the UN SDG indicator, which is 16.2.2, where I've managed to analyze and put in dashboards of how how far human trafficking has been disrupting our society. Well, what is human trafficking exactly? Well, it's one of the most brutal, inhumane crimes against humanity, which is also the exploitation of humans regardless of age and sex or gender. And it has been globally active throughout the entirety of all world continents, no matter where you live, whether you live in the United States, the United Kingdom, or Gambia, or uh, Bangladesh, or India. Doesn't matter. Human trafficking still operates as a black market system within society. Here's some manipulative methods that traffickers are used to lure victims into kidnapping and trafficking cases. They would use violence, manipulation, or false promises of well-paying jobs, along with romantic relationships. These are the 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 methods of false promises of paying well-paying jobs and romantic relationships usually happen within dating websites or fake job sites or even spamming of emails that convince individuals to join them and then later kidnap them and then take you around the world for whatever inhumane crime that they want to do. And the reasons they do this is because of psychological or emotional vulnerability of victims, along with economic hardships, along with the lack of social safety networks, natural disasters, or political instability. How it has increased throughout our society? Well, from from long before COVID-19, it was almost going to a downside. However, when COVID-19 came, that's when human trafficking increased because of the increase of global detections between the years 2019 and 2022, with an increase of 25% across various regions of the world. Moreover, global trafficking patterns have become increasingly transnational within African, European, Middle Eastern, and Oceanian victims, representing significant portion of international trafficking flows. The tool I used was Google Colab, which is a tool used such as through Google Workspace, such as Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Drive. In this case, Google Colab, also known as Google Collaboratory, uses Python, which is the programming language used in computer science, to help analyze data and clean whatever filters they had. From what I did, I created a Python code that helps clean that data. For the first 5 rows, what I did is I first detected the top four topics of how much detected victims of human trafficking by age were, and most of them were from Albania, with a geo area code of 8. I've also did an analysis of the age and sex of victims from 2016 all the way to 2025, where as you can see, it has become an significant yet very sad increase of how many victims have suffered through human trafficking. Let me just okay. Now, next thing I did was the data cleaning and exploration of how many missing values the file had and which data type there were. Nothing much, nothing much important other than just data cleaning and exploration. However, from the statistics side, what I found is there was a numerous count of victims that increased from 25 to 75% from the years 2007 all the way to 2025 last year, with a maximum hitting 98.46%. And through the aggregation of country, the data I've collected was mostly from everywhere around the world. I didn't bother choosing a specific country because I wanted to be I wanted to show everything equally. Like I don't want like because human trafficking is a crime and you don't want to focus on just one country. You want to focus on everywhere around the world because that's the job of a cybersecurity analyst. You want to protect everyone around the world, not just your own country. And here I figured out that there were top 10 countries with the highest average of trafficking rates, mainly from Seychelles, which is 24.95 percentage rating, which was the highest of all within all countries around the world. Then the second largest was the United Kingdom and Ireland. Then Cabo Verde, Goya, Netherlands, Romania, Republic of Moldova, Palau, Bulgaria, Albania, and then so on. And you can see this has been significantly increasing through mean and max average from, like I said, from 2007 to 2025. And among the overall average, we can see that Seychelles is the top country among all human trafficking cases. As for continent classification, we can see that Europe has the highest distribution of human trafficking cases, while Africa is the second largest, Asia being third, the Americas, both the North and the South, being the fourth, Oceania being the fifth, while others have a much less percentage. And you can see here on the right is where everything has been increasing and decreasing through min and max analysis, and the overall average being Europe. And here is a dashboard where I created a bar graph resulting in my clarification of how much human trafficking has been rated, and we can see Europe has had the most detected victims per 100,000 population average. And here I also created a trend graph, basically a line chart of how much human trafficking has been increased. We can see here that Africa has skyrocketed from 2017 and then dropped later to 2020. However, Europe has been increasing steadily from 2007 all the way to 2025. Cynthia, are you able to see properly?
Yeah, I'm just looking at your data. But that's a perpetual question for me. How well are you seeing today?
Okay, and here I created a pie chart of how much this, again, just in case for more clarification. I just thought I created these different graphs to make sure which graph the audience defines easier. And as we can see here, as explained again, Europe and Africa are one of the top two continents that had the most highest human trafficking distribution. Well, Europe being the highest, while Asia having the lowest trafficking rate, with Europe had a percentage of 1.62 per 100,000 population, representing 35.4% of trafficking burdens, while Asia only had 0.45 per 100,000 population, representing only 9.8% of total burden. Well, which concludes that Europe is higher by 3.6 than Asia. And as for the victims of what age and sex they were, we can see from this heat map showing that the median trafficking rate highs of 2.75 with a classification of distribution through the heat map. And we can see here from the highest amount of victims that were mostly distributed were female who were above 18, along with highest percentage of both sex of all ages. And from analysis of the top continents, we can see here that this is a decision tree that I made just in case to do a little bit more accuracy and data cleaning. While here on this right chart, we can see that the total of top 15 countries of the highest trafficking rate included both Europe and Africa. Mostly Europe and African countries along the two continents, which had the most highest average trafficking rating for both male, female, and all ages. Where you can see here that Europe and Africa still has the most highest rating human trafficking cases. And here through this bar graph confirms the entirety of my project, where which countries from which continent has the highest. I concluded that Seychelles from Africa had the highest of 24.96% per victim of average, while in the United Kingdom and Great Britain along with Northern Ireland from Europe had a scale of 11.81%. And the list goes on so on from the highest rating to the lowest rating. And the key insights I found was that Europe has the highest average trafficking rating, thus having the most countries reported, while Seychelles from Africa had the highest rating as well. The fourth insight was I created as an SVM model showing the best prediction of accuracy. And this is just a few recommendations and analysis that I've came up with. What this entire project I did was it focused on data collection efforts on high-risk continents, identifying human trafficking rates around the world, along with implementing target intervention programs in top countries with highest ratings, along with the use of predictive models to identify emerging hotspots before rates increase, along with monitoring year-over-year trends to evaluate the effectiveness of interventions, and where I would consider age and sex specification approaches based on the pattern analysis I created. In conclusion, as human trafficking continues to increase, numerous social justice organizations have used tactics of raising awareness and providing direct support services to advocating for policy reforms and engaging with survivors. With these methods of strengthening private-public partnerships, communities can strengthen prevention initiatives, enhance digital safety measures, and disrupt the infrastructure traffickers rely on, such as the black market, as well as publicly spreading the safety of human individual beings. Protecting every community across society must remain persistent in safeguarding human dignity and promoting equitable solutions for shielding humanity. And these are the only two resources I found to support my data, along with this link providing the SDG reports that I found to clean the data and extract and analyze into dashboards. Thank you.
Excellent. And questions for Matthew? Lots of applause. I see. Very well done. Compelling topic.
Apologies,
Okay.
Cynthia. I do have a question.
Mhm.
Matthew, would it be possible for you to go back to one of the slides?
Sure. Hold on. I'm just trying to see how I can share. Am I still sharing?
I don't see the presentation.
You are not currently sharing.
Hold on. Let me just try sharing. Oh, here it is. Wait, no, hold on. Oh, found it. Found the button. Got it. Okay. Sure. I can go back to the slide you want me to go to.
Yeah, the one where you talked about there was a 25% increase between 2019 and 2022.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Let me just go back in the beginning.
Yeah, could you go back a few slides?
I'm starting all the way from the beginning, so hold on. Oh, see where I can find it for you all. Can you describe specifically which slide?
The
Oh,
one,
here it is. Here it
yeah.
is. Here it is. Yeah.
So aside from that, from 2019 to 2022, I know you talked about the increase. However, what about now? Do you think it's increased or has it gone down a bit?
Oh no, absolutely. I think it has been. I've also, if you heard about Cybersecurity Awareness Month or Anti-Human Trafficking Month, you can be updated on how many human trafficking cases there still are. From this case, the file I extracted only summarizes from the early 2000s to 2025. But yes, I do believe because okay, let me repeat. The file I extracted from it only shows from the early 2000s to last year. I couldn't find anything from this year, but I do believe yes that there have been cases of human trafficking as of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? No?
Matthew, excellent presentation.
Yeah.
Just one clarity I needed to understand. You mentioned that there is a 25% increase in the global detection rate.
Yes.
Is that a direct correlation of the fact that the surveillance methods have gone better and that we are able to detect it better, or overall the number of cases being handled are much better? How do you think the capacity to detect has gone up?
Well, it depends on which tool you're using. Like if you use, well, hold on. Can you clarify what you mean exactly?
Yeah. In that slide, the one that you just presented, yeah, you mentioned that there is a 25% increase in global detection.
Yes.
Yeah, the
That
detection
that
could have gone up just because of the fact that the surveillance methods have improved.
What do you mean by several methods exactly?
The ability to detect that there is trafficking being
Oh,
done.
yes. I believe I still, well, some tools can improve, some tools cannot improve, but overall I believe that they can improve better because it also depends on which position you're working for. Either you're working for the government, if you're working for a nonprofit organization, or if you're working together as one united organization, then yes, I believe that they can be improved.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Just one question. Great presentation. And a very good analysis. What tools did you use for your analysis and your visualization as well? What did you use?
Yeah, hold on, I can present. I used okay, I used this site to extract the data, the SDG databases, while I used Google Colab for my analysis. Like, I'll just
Python.
type.
Python.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions before we move to the next person? Razul Raj, do you have a presentation ready today? I couldn't tell exactly what you were saying in the chat.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you have a presentation ready today?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And this is wonderful. And I'm so, Raj, I'm just going to talk with you right here, right now. I don't remember who your mentor is, but I know we've been talking about you a little bit this week. So I really want to see what you have. We're not quite so sure that all your tools on the on the Pulse are working for you the way they should be. So schedule a one-on-one so we can make sure everything's working for you. Just a little direct
Yeah.
message. So are you going to screen share with us and show us
Uh,
what
Yeah, sure. Just give me 1 second. I have to kind of find the Google slide. So he was here, but the presentation got cut. For some reason, my
do you see the share button at the bottom, the square? There you go. You got it. You got this.
Okay, sorry. He was here, but then he got lost. Sorry.
The same thing happened to me as I got ready to start the meeting. Everything went away. I had it all pulled up and ready to go, but it wasn't coming up when I said reopen the tabs the way they were. It wasn't going to do it for me.
Okay. Just let me know if you guys could see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, it's loading. Okay, there it is. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Razu Raj, and I'll be presenting on how Bangladesh has reduced poverty. So, my presentation is specifically focused on stage STG 1. Um, so as you guys know, probably Bangladesh has made remarkable progress over the last 2 decades by reducing poverty. So I will kind of go through like how did they do that and what kind of contributions what contributed in that progress. So with that said, let's go to the next slide. So the main questions that guiding my presentation is how did Bangladesh reduce poverty and what challenges still remains? So by analyzing poverty data and key development factors, we can kind of better understand the country progress and the work that still needs to be done. So this is my key insights. The chart shows that Bangladesh has made a remarkable progress in reducing poverty over the past 2 decades. The national poverty rate declined from 48% um, in early 2000s, which means like basically half of the population was living in poverty. It went from that to 9.6% in early 2022. So which is which is like a significant poverty reduced. This improvement reflects the economic growth, better education, and the government and NGO initiatives. However, Bangladesh has a population over 170 million, as if now I believe, and millions of people still lives in poverty. Um, Slides.
Razul, just so Opus Clips is good to you, can you click slideshow view so that it goes on your full screen?
Sorry, I totally
Oh,
forgot.
perfect. Excellent.
Okay, so this is a chart that kind of shows the GDP growth rates within South Asia countries, the neighbor countries of Bangladesh. As an example, Maldives, India, Nepal, Pakistan, and as you could see, the GDP growth rate of Bangladesh is significantly improved compared to the rest of the countries. Um, so this is the cause and the like what cause and the effects of the poverty. Some of the main cause of the poverty in Bangladesh is low wages, unemployment, and income inequality. So which makes difficult for the families to earn enough daily needs. Also, there limited access to educations and high dropout rates for to reduce job opportunities. Also, poor healthcare and malnutrition also affects people's ability to work and live healthy lives. So, go to the next slides. Yeah. So the solution Bangladesh has made to improve significantly is through several key initiatives. For example, microfinance programs, which provides like small loans to low-income families and help them to starts business and earn stable incomes. Investments in education increase schools in enrollments and give people better career opportunities. NGOs supported the local communities through healthcare training and development programs. Also, the government policies and social protection programs kind of helped with the infrastructure and created more jobs, provided more financial assistance. So in the conclusion, Bangladesh has become one of the world leading examples of poverty reductions, and the country has reduced poverty over the past 2 decades through economic growth and education and microfinance. And with that being said, there are still millions of people still lives in poverty line. And with this continuously investment in education, healthcare, and job creation, they can in the future they will improve it furthermore. Thank you so much. That's it.
Excellent. And questions for Russell?
Just one suggestion, Riazul, excellent presentation. You could bring in a little more clarity in the presentation if you put numbers on the slides as well. Example, if you go to the slide where you're showing growth rates, yes, if you could put the numbers out here for Bangladesh, which is the one that is getting highlighted, and if you're highlighting Bangladesh in a different color, it will get visibly much better for the audience to take a take-home message.
Sure.
Otherwise, excellent presentation.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, great presentation, Razul. I just wanted to ask, what data set or data sets did you use to develop your conclusions?
So basically, I went into the World Bank article websites, and then I kind of got my data and everything from there. And from there, I kind of created charts and stuff by myself.
All right, thank you. World Bank, right?
Thank
Yep.
you. So, thank you.
Right. Well, thank you, Russell. Thank you. All right, and let's move down the order of the chat there. Musa, are you ready to go next? Musa, are you still with us? And how about Jabi?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Okay, how about Jabi next? Blake, do we have an introduction for Jabi? Or I see that. Blake, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Do you want me to give her introduction?
Do you mind? Yes, please
Uh,
do. Let's find
all
out
right.
more about Jabi.
Javi has a master's of science in business analytics, and she's as a student who is trying to get a master's of science in business analytics at Brandeis University with a strong interest in data analytics, business strategy, and data-driven decision making. She enjoys transforming complex data into meaningful insights through data visualizations, statistical analysis, and predictive modeling. And she has a presentation for us today.
Okay, so I'm go ahead to share my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, so hi guys, my name is Jabi Wu, and today I will presenting my project on SDG indicator 3.8.2, which is catastrophic healthcare expenditure. So this indicator focuses on one important question is that can people afford healthcare without experiencing severe financial hardship? Rather than measuring the health outcomes alone, it evaluates the financial burden that healthcare places on households, making it an important component of SDG Goal 3, which is good health and well-being. In this presentation, I will introduce the dataset, explain my visualizations, and share several key findings from the analysis. So before looking at the visualizations, I would like to briefly introduce the project's background and data source. I chose the SDG indicator 3.8.2 because the financial protection is one of the core components of the universal health coverage. Even if healthcare services are available, they're not fully accessible if the people cannot afford them. So this indicator measures the proportion of the population whose out-of-pocket healthcare spending exceeds a catastrophic level relative to household resources. So in other words, which is it identifies the people who may experience financial hardship because of the healthcare cost. The data comes from the United Nations SDG Global database maintained by the UNSD and WHO. It contains official country level data collected from the national statistical agencies and covers the period from the 2000 to 2023. So before I move to the visualization, I would like to explain that a couple of my charts use different years, although the UN database covers the data from 2000 to 2023, but the data availability is not consistent across all countries, and many countries have missing observations in most recent year. So to make each visualization as informative as possible, so I selected the year with the best data coverage for the particular analysis. So let's start with the countries ranking. On the left, we can see there are 10 countries with the highest level of the catastrophic health expenditure in 2023, including Philippines, Georgia, and Mongolia, where around 30% of the population experienced the catastrophic healthcare spending. On the right side, we can see the 10 countries with the lowest level. One interesting observation is that the economic development alone does not explain this differences, because some middle income countries perform better than expected, while some higher income countries still experience relatively high financial burdens. So this suggests that the healthcare financing policies and insurance coverage play a major role in protecting households from catastrophic medical expenses. Next, it's a global trend from 2000 to 2022. So overall, the global average has gradually declined from approximately 34% up to about 26%. This suggests that the countries has made meaningful progress toward improving financial protections under the universal health coverage. However, another interesting observation is that the decline becomes much slower after around 2011, while progress continues further reduction appear increasingly difficult indicating the future improvements may require stronger healthcare financing reforms and policy intervention. And then next, we're looking at the world map. This map illustrates the geographic distribution of the catastrophic healthcare expenditure. I selected the year 2014 because it has much broader countries coverage than more recent years. Instead of showing a simple regional pattern, the map demonstrates that both high and low levels of the financial burdens appear across different parts of the world. So this tells us the national income alone does not determine the financial protection. So healthcare financing systems, insurance coverage, and access to affordable healthcare service all contributed to reducing the catastrophic healthcare expenditure. So for my last visualization, which is I explored the difference between the urban and the rural populations in the United States. So this chart shows a consistent gap throughout the entire period. Rural populations experience significantly higher catastrophic health expenditure than urban populations, and the rural trends also fluctuates much more over time. So this indicates that even within a high-income country, financial protection is not equally distributed. So differences in healthcare accessibility, insurance coverage, provider availability, and household income may all contribute to this urban-rural disparity. So finally, I compare all of these visualizations into a Tableau dashboard. Together, these charts provide a multiple perspective on the catastrophic health expenditure, including the country comparisons, long-term trends, geographic distribution, and population disparities. So, and there are three main takeaways from this project, which is first is the large differences exist across the countries, and healthcare financing system appear to be just important as the economic development. Second, global financial protection has improved over the past 2 decades, although the progress has slowed down in around 2011. Finally, inequalities also exist within the countries, as demonstrated by the persistent urban-rural gap in the United States. So overall, this project shows how the data visualization can help the policymaker identify the disparities, monitor the progress toward the SDG, and support evidence-based decision for improving healthcare inequality. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Questions?
Wow, that was a really fantastic presentation, Jabi. And it's one that I wish you can share with me. I have one question for you. Now, in the Caribbean, we have universal free healthcare. So healthcare is free. You don't pay to go to a hospital. However, we still suffer from catastrophic expenditure because the length of time it takes to get a CAT scan, you'll wait 3 months. So still we have low income families having to wait or they will have to dip into savings and they have catastrophic expenditures. Now, the milestone we use to determine catastrophic expenditure, health expenditure, is 30% of overall household income. Like for your research here, like how did you categorize? How did you determine what would be catastrophic expenditure for a household?
I think that I think it's not happening in your country and also in many places. I think Hong Kong also is a place like that, like the region, not country, like different places. Hong Kong's also like the people you can do like free healthcare access or something, but you have to get into a long line. Otherwise, you have to buy your own um healthcare insurance and you have to pay high cost instead to getting like a faster um healthcare service. So I think that's also a problem or like a thing that we still have to working on to figure out the way to how to make people get out this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll message you privately to find out a percentage of like how you judge what in this case you would you would classify as catastrophic. We use 30%. I don't maybe you should have it somewhere, but I'll message you offline.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, because I just used the data set. Because I didn't filter or do any calculation. This is a data set that comes straight from the SDG.
Okay. Okay, all right, got it. Got it. Thank you. And great work.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Um, Dong, are you perhaps ready to go next? And Blake, do you have an introduction for Dong?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I got introduction for him.
Okay.
Um, Dong, who usually goes by Alex, is a rising senior and international student from Vietnam, studying computer information systems with a concentration in business analytics at James Madison University. He is interested in data analytics, technology, and cybersecurity, and has recently competed in the KBMG Cybersecurity Challenge at the AIS Student Chapter Leadership Conference. Through this internship, he hopes to gain hands-on experience, build meaningful connections, and continue growing professionally and personally. And he has a presentation for us today using Canva.
Oh, hey, have you guys seen my screen?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blake, for the introduction. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. I know it's pretty late right now, so I'm gonna go quick for you guys. So today I'll be presenting my data analytics project on reading and mathematics proficiency across selected countries using data from the UN SDG Global Indicators database. In this presentation, I'll introduce my research questions. I'm going to work through the dashboard and our analysis I created. I also want to share some of the key insights from the results as well. So let's begin with the question. So before I started the analysis, I first thought about what I wanted to learn from the data. And my main research questions was how reading and mathematics proficiency at the lower secondary level have changed over time across selected countries, and what patterns can be observed. Instead of looking at just one country or one point in time, I wanted to compare multiple countries over several years to identify overall trends, differences in performance, and any noticeable change over time. For this project, I focus on one indicator, minimum proficiency in reading and mathematics at the lower secondary level, because I wanted to compare students' foundational skills in two core subjects. I also selected 8 countries, including Australia, Canada, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Japan, the US, and Vietnam. I also looked at the data from 2000 to 2024 so I could see how proficiency has changed over time instead of just looking at one specific year. I decided to focus on SDG 4, which is quality education, because I think education is one of the most important indicators of a country's long-term development. And looking at these trends can help us better understand where countries are improving and where there may be still challenges. Once I had my data set, I used two different tools to analyze and visualize the data. For this project, I mainly used Power BI and R. And this is the dashboard overview that I created in Power BI. It combines three visualizations to help answer my research questions from different perspectives. On the left is a line chart showing how reading proficiency changed over time across the selected countries. On the top right is a bar chart comparing each country's most recent reading proficiency level, and below is a heat map, which make it easier to spot years with higher or lower performance. I've also added several slicers, including subject, sex education level. These filters allow users to interact with the dashboard and quickly compare different groups without creating separate visualizations. And next, I'll work through each visualization and discuss some of the key findings. All right, so we have the line chart right here. The first visualization is a line chart showing how reading proficiency has changed over time across the selected countries. Overall, we can see that most countries experience a gradual decline in reading proficiency over the years, especially after around 2015. Finland started with the highest reading proficiency, reaching around 95% in the mid-2000s. However, it also showed one of the largest declines over time. On the other hand, countries like the US, Estonia, and Canada maintain relatively high and more stable performance throughout most of the period. Vietnam showed improvement from 2000 to 2012, but then also experienced a noticeable decline in the later years. While the overall trends are different across the countries, there's one common pattern that very few countries maintain consistent improvement over the entire time period. The bar chart compares reading proficiency across the selected countries using the most recent year with comparable data, which is 2022. Although my data set includes the year up to 2024, but most countries do not have a complete data for 2024. And in fact, Vietnam is the only country with the data available. So using the year would not allow for like a fair comparison across the countries. That's why I get rid of it. So based on the latest comparable data, Japan had the highest reading proficiency at 86.3%, followed closely by Estonia at 86.2. On the other hand, Germany had the lowest reading proficiency among the selected countries at just 74.5%. And compared to the line chart, I think this visualization make it much easier to compare countries side by side and quickly identify which countries are performing better in the latest available year. The last visualization is a heat map. And what I like about this one is actually make it easier to compare both countries and years at the same time. Instead of like following individual lines, I can quickly spot which countries consistently perform well and which ones experience a decline over time. In general, a greener cells represent higher proficiency, while more orange or red cells represent lower proficiency. For example, you can see right here, Finland stay in the green range for many years, showing strong reading proficiency before declining in the more recent years. Canada and Estonia also remain relatively strong throughout the period, while Germany generally had lower proficiency compared to the other countries. And you will also notice that there are some blank cells. Those simply mean the data wasn't available for that country in that particular year, so it just left the missing values as they were instead of filling them in. Overall, I think the heat map does a good job summarizing the long-term patterns and make it easier to identify changes at a glance. Besides using Power BI, I also wanted to do a simple statistical analysis in R to see if there was like a relationship between reading and mathematics proficiency. Each point in this scatter plot represents one country in a specific year. The x-axis shows reading proficiency, while the y-axis show the mathematics proficiency. I've also added a regression line, and we can see that it slopes upward, suggesting a positive relationship between two subjects. In other words, countries with higher reading proficiency also tend to have higher mathematics proficiency. And of course, it doesn't mean that one subject caused the other. It just simply shows that they tend to improve or decline together. And it makes sense because like both reflect the overall performance of an educational system. If I included this analysis because I wanted to go beyond descriptive visualizations and see whether the data also show a broader statistical pattern. before I conclude, I also want to mention a few possible explanations for these trends. One possible factor is COVID-19. Since school closures and remote learning may have affected student performance in the later years. And it's also important to remember that this data set has some limitations. Some countries have missing years, assessment cycles differ, and maybe participation may vary across the years. Finally, this analysis only focuses on lower secondary education. So these results don't necessarily represent the entire education system. And overall, the trends are clear, but understanding exactly why they happen would require additional data and further analysis. Well, lastly, I got some key takeaways for this project. Obviously, reading proficiency changed over time across selected countries. The reading and mathematics proficiency were strongly positive related. Visualizations help reveal trends, comparison, and relationships that may not be obvious from raw data alone. While the data provide valuable insights, it should be interpreted alongside with additional educational and contextual information. These are my references, and thank you for listening. I'm open up for questions.
Okay. What questions do we have for Dawn?
Dong, did you do a gender-wise analysis of it? Because in one of the slides I saw you mentioned that both gender were equally good at math and English.
I'm sorry, my connection just get lag a little bit. Can you just repeat the questions one more time?
Yeah, did you do a gender-wise analysis of it? Because in one slide you mentioned that people who are good at math are also good at reading, and it is gender agnostic. Both ways, it works for both the genders.
Oh yes. Actually, for I remember like my last R analysis, I mentioned that there was like correlation between like the two subjects, that math and like the reading. And I only for the slicer I only chose like the both sex, like include like both males and females. So it's not like separate, but I can just do separate because I can just like choose differently on the slicer.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right, excellent. We are on a roll. Blake, can you tell us about Lila? Or
Um,
Lila?
she is a rising senior at
Oh, well,
Charles.
let's make sure she's ready.
Oh.
Is she up for presenting tonight? She's still here with us? Maybe not. Uh, how how about Mr. Wu? Let's see. I think I
Yes,
saw
Cindy.
where you were here. Yeah. Ching-Ha Wu?
Yes. Uh,
Blake, can you introduce Ching-Ha?
Uh, Ching Hao is a master's student with a strong interest in machine learning, data analysis, and AI systems. His academic and project experience includes working with Python, PyTorch, statistical modeling, and large language model evaluation. Recently, he has been involved in projects related to time series forecasting, reinforcement learning, and LLM fine-tuning and evaluation. That is the end of the introduction.
Excellent. Do you have a screen share to share with us?
oh, yes. Uh, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, hi everyone. Today I will present the second phase of my SDG data analysis project, which connects to the SDG 9 and SDG with the SDG 12, which is the responsible computation and productions So in the first place, I analyze the global R&D expenditure. So this time we want to explore a new question, which is like, does the higher R&D investment relate to better uh, resource efficiency? So to answer this question, I combine two union indicators. The first is the R&D expenditure as a percentage of GDP from SDG 9. Second is the domestic material computation of or DMC from the SDG 12, which measures how many materials an economy used relative to its economy output and population. So first, let's look at the spread in the DMC per GDP between 2019 and 2022. So for the DMC per GDP measures how many kilograms or materials are needed to produce 1 unit of GDP. Therefore, the lower volume indicates better resource efficiency because an economy generates the same amount of output while consuming fewer materials. So although all countries follow the different tragedies, several countries shows the decades over time, suggesting the improvements in the resource efficiency. Others maintain relatively stable. So that means that their consuming is also stable. So, but one limitation is that Japan was excluded because the downloaded UN dataset reported negative DMC values, which are kind of not meaningful for this analysis. Um, so next, the chart compares the DMC per cafeteria in the 2022, unlike the DMC per GDP. This indicator focuses on the amount of the materials consumed by each person. So we can see the difference among each country. So 7 countries uh, consume considerably more material per person than others. Um, However, higher material consuming does not necessarily mean lower efficiency. So some country may have a high consuming, but because of its industrial structure or different living standards. Uh, so this indicator should always be compared together with the DMC per GDP. So with that, by looking at the two different SDGs. Each point here represents one country with average R&D expenditure on the horizontal axis and average DMC per GDP on the vertical axis. So overall, we observe a negative relationship um, since countries with higher R&D investment generally tends to have a lower DMC per GDP, meaning they use materials more effectively, more efficiently, to generate economic output. So the correlation coefficient is negative 0.78, indicating a relatively strong negative association within this sample. However, the results should be treated carefully since this sample includes only 7 countries here. So it's an small small sample among all or over 190 countries in the union. To better understand these results, I also compared how much country changed between 2019 and 2022. Instead of looking at only at the current volumes, I examined whether countries increased their R&D investment and whether their material efficiency improved during the same period. So several countries experienced both higher R&D expenditure and lower DMC per GDP, suggesting that increased investment in the innovation may be uh, accompanied by improvements in resource efficiency. Other countries follow different paths, reminding us that sustainable development is influenced by many economic and policy factors, not just the R&D spending alone. To conclude, I have 3 key takeaways. First, countries differs sustainably in between innovation investment and resource efficiency. And secondly, higher R&D investment is related with lower DMC per GDP in the selected example, suggesting that the innovation may contribute to more efficient use of materials. Finally, combining indicators from different SDGs provide a broader understanding of sustainable development than analyzing a single indicator alone. So for future work, I would like to expand analysis by including more countries and adding SDG indicators to better understand how innovation contributes to sustainable productions. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions? Right. Now, Denithi, are you ready to present?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Blake, can you introduce Denithi for us? We want to know just a little bit more about Denithi than we already know.
All right. Donithi completed her bachelor's degree with a major in history and minor in literature at Worcester State University in Massachusetts. She enjoys telling a story to raise awareness of problems or awareness of SDGs and find a solution. And that's the end of the introduction.
And I know she has a story for us today, coming from a creative background rather than the data analytic background.
Yep. Thank you, Cynthia. Hello, interns. Today I will be talking about SDG 5, which is gender equality. What is SDG 5? As we all know, all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals have to be addressed by 2030. And of course, SDG 5 is no exception. SDG 5 addresses gender equality, and it aims at promoting gender equality for all women and girls, specifically those who are living in Middle Eastern countries, such as Afghanistan and Pakistan, to raise their voices and to speak out, because their countries function as a patriarchal society in which women are deprived of a privileged education, and instead they are faced with discrimination and they're treated as inferior in regards to their male counterparts, who, in contrast, have the liberty of having access to education and employment. These are some examples. Women are forced into being submissive domestic housewives, which means they don't have a say in what goes. They are forced to obey society's standards, and this is especially true for elite women because they don't want to shame their husbands' names by dragging in the mud. This means causing scandal or even showing a hint of disobedience results in consequences. A bit about the history of SDG 5. During the 19th century, America functioned as a patriarchal society, which limited a woman's right to vote, own property, and they were also treated as inferior, just like how the Middle Eastern countries function as patriarchal societies, forcing women into submission. However, 3 women, Susan B. Anthony, Lucertia Mott, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, rose up to the challenge. They decided to break the ice and advocate for women's education, gender equality, while primarily focusing on allowing women the right to vote and own property. Anthony began the suffragist movement and was later joined by Mott and Stanton. This movement focused on granting women the same rights as men, specifically voting rights and owning property, as patriarchal America socially and economically restricted women from obtaining rights to own property. The women who were the backbone of SDG 5: Susan B. Anthony, Lucertia Mott, last but not least, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. How they laid out the foundation. In 1848, at the Seneca Falls Convention, Susan B. Anthony and her two colleagues became pioneers in the establishment of the suffragist movement. As I stated before, this movement was aimed at allowing women to vote and to obtain the same legal rights as men. They wanted women to have the power to speak up instead of living as submissive wives who had to obey their husband's every whim. They also wanted women to have the privilege of being heard on the floor of Congress, which we see today. This led them to expand their horizon. However, due to their activism, Anthony and her colleagues were faced with discrimination and denied any voting rights, which we know because that was what they were fighting for. The result as to why they were denied these voting rights was because men wanted to continue holding on to power, and the women's fight for advocacy became a threat to their control. The turning point, the establishment of the suffragist movement back then, to the ratification and passing of the 19th Amendment, their shared legacy, how it started then versus now, how they started. Anthony and her colleagues rose up to a challenge. However, as we learned, progress doesn't happen overnight. It can take years, months, or even decades. However, with time, patience, and hard work, a little seed can transform into a large tree. To me, this tree speaks of how many people rose up to challenges, even in the face of adversity, and how they continued to progress, even when faced with discrimination. How their legacy lives on. Unfortunately, neither Anthony or any of her colleagues saw the ratification of the 19th Amendment, but their work paved the way for future activists such as Malala, Emma Watson, and Angelina Jolie. This is my work cited. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. I know the Susan B. Anthony House around here is, there's the Hart Senate building. It's right around the corner from the Hart Senate building. And they have a women's facility there called Thompson Markwood Hall. So if you're in the DC area, Thompson Markwood Hall is definitely a place all young professional women should check out. But the Susan B. Anthony House is right there in the neighborhood, and so it's always nice to hear of her contributions as the first person, first founding mother of the movement. So thank you for that, Danithi. Are there any questions for Danithi? I tell you, the next person, Jamaica, if you're ready to present, I know that we're eager to see how your research has progressed, and I know that Jamaica shared with me her research this week, and I think you'll find it quite interesting how she has progressed. Last time she presented, she was the first one to present her data where she was in her project. She presented the research alignment tool, the GPT that the International Sibling Society created to, help us get focused in on the sustainable development goal of our choice. And I know she's. Let's see your data, Jamaica. Blake, do you have an introduction for Jamaica?
Okay.
Yes, I have an introduction
Okay,
for
let
her.
us introduce you, Jamaica, and then it's all you. You can go ahead and pull up your screen share.
Uh, Jamaica recently
Okay.
graduated
Thank
on
you.
May 1st, 2026 from Southern New Hampshire University with a bachelor's degree in creative writing and English. Previously, she graduated with an associate's degree in education at Hillsborough Community College in Tampa, Florida. Her personal attributes are determination, motivation, and cooperation. That is the end of the introduction.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is it the entire screen that's shown?
It looks perfect. Just hide that little hide button down at the bottom and you're good to go.
Okay. Okay, hello interns. This is my data analytic project on SDGs, gender equality, and reduced inequalities. My research question is, using available data, how can we identify correlations between government policies, social institutions, and gender-based economic disparities in countries with significant challenges in achieving SDG 5 gender equality and SDG 10 reduced inequality, particularly regarding the reduction of workplace inequities, gender wage gaps, and income inequality, and the promotion of female labor force participation. These recommendations can help overturn systemic inequalities and biases in the workplace. For example, reducing gender wage gaps, increasing female labor force participation, improving women's access to leadership and economic opportunities, promoting and doing more equitable distributions of incomes between men and women. These actions can help support progression towards SDG 5 gender equality and SDG 10 reduce inequalities. One of the major gender disparities in the US is gender pay gap and women getting paid less than men for the same work or work of equal value. Women that live in the US make only 82% versus men who make in 20 years of the workforce. There are system biases in healthcare as well, where they assume they are unable to care for or treat women patients. In 1990, 56% of women were in the labor force participation in the US. In Burundi of 1990, 90.45% of women ages 15 and up were in labor force participation. In 2025, in Burundi, 79.50% of women were in labor force participation. In the USA of 2025, 56.34% of women were in labor force participation. Since 1990, Burundi's women of labor force participation went down significantly from 90.45% to 79.50%. While in the US, it stayed the same or stagnant from 1990 to 2025. It went up a tad bit. In 1990, the USA women in labor force participation was 56%, while in 2025, it was 56.34%. Pretty much the USA fluctuated up and down throughout the years between 1990 through 2025. So Burundi, Africa, is located in the eastern and southern region of Africa. In their prosperity, the country has 5,679 indicators and 127 data sets. Its income is very low, ranging 14 million in population, and GDP per capita in 2025 only $233.82. Burundi's GDP annual growth was in very significant decline in 1961. Its annual percentage of growth was negative 13.75%, but in 1970, the country improved significantly to 21.33%. But in 1996, Burundi declined dramatically to negative 8%. But then in 2025, it improved dramatically, but not as high as 1970 when it was 21.33%, but it still improved by 2025 in Burundi. And oh, by the way, I wanted to say Burundi is in the southern region of Africa, between the eastern and southern area of Africa. So the prosperity of USA in the North American region is 6,193 indicators and 137 data sets. The USA is in high income, a population of 342 million, with a GDP per capita of current US dollars in 2025 at $90,026.52. The USA's GDP annual growth percentage in 1961 was 2.30% change per annum, and it fluctuated throughout the years significantly. It was at its highest in 1984 at 7.24% change per annum, but it declined dramatically in 2009 with negative 2.58% change per annum, which was one of the lowest in the United States GDP annual growth. The other lowest was the year 2020, in which it was negative 2.08% change per annum, but it came back up to 2.16% in 2025. Burundi's poverty headcount ratio at $3 a day, 2021, of the percentage of population. In 1992, 85% of population are in poverty based on primary household in $3 a day in Burundi. In 1998, Burundi's population was at its highest, which was 87.60% of population was in that year. But after that, it declined dramatically from 1998 to 2020. In 2020, it went down to 74.20% of population, which is about 13.4% decline from 1998 to 2020. The North American region poverty headcount ratio at $3 a day, 2021 percentage of population. In 1963, 1.60% of population are in poverty based on primary household of $3 a day, and went significantly down at 0.5% of population in 1989. But then it progressed up in 2016 at 1.2% percentage. And everyone else was, as that was a single person, had to deal with this, had to have a primary household and all of income. Then 2021, it went down to its lowest at 0.3%, and it fluctuated back up to 1.40% in 2022. Then back down to 1.10% of population in 2024. It has currently stayed at 1.10% percentage of population in the United States of primary households living in poverty at $3 a day. So the Gini index scale, is if you are 0 or 0%, it represents perfect equality. I'm sorry, I gotta get some water. Okay. 0 or 0% represents perfect equality. 1 or 100% represents perfect inequality. In Burundi in 1992, 33.30% of the population had an equal distribution of wealth or income. I'm sorry, guys. In 1998, it went up to 42.10% of population getting an equal distribution of earnings or income, which it drastically went up since 1992, of 8.8% more of the population having or earning an equal distribution of income or funds. An equal distribution of wealth or income went down from dramatically in 2006 since 1998. It was 33.40% of population dealing with poverty and unequal earnings at the workplace, and then it fluctuated back up at 38.6% in 2013 to 37.50% in 2020, which went down slightly, 1.1% of population in an equal or lack of resources like money or wealth. The USA's Gini Index. In 1963, the U.S. population had 36.70% or its population either in poverty or in equal distribution of money or income, wealth as resources. In 1980, it was 34.70% of population, which had an equal distribution of resources like income. It declined from 1963 when it was 37.60%. So in 1880, it went down by 2%, which slight improvement, but after 1980, it significantly went up. In 2024, it went up to 41.80% of population was living in equality by the unequal distribution of money earned from the workplace. From 1963 to 2024, the population living in poverty of inequality of resources went up 5% since 1963. So how do we achieve SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 10, reduce inequalities in countries like Burundi and the USA? Well, recommendations we could recommend to create digital technology for all economies, promote inclusive growth of funds, small businesses, and marketing enterprises through agricultural businesses. Implement by government policies, donors, and private sectors that address the needs of specific sector areas. Economic growth for gender equality in countries. Incorporate investments, promote growth and enhancing diversity in working businesses, build a stronger infrastructure through digital technology, enhance cooperation and communication, and growth to make it a stable environment. Effective government policies can help assist gender disparities in countries by promoting more equitable distributions of income between men and women, to improve the access of women in leadership or better economic opportunities, reducing gender wage gaps between men and women who work the same jobs and that they can get equal pay from, and increase female labor force participation that can help support progression towards sustainable goals of gender equality and reduce inequalities. Thank you.
Any questions for Jamaica?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what people were saying after I finished. Something was going on with my computer.
Oh, excellent. You did great. It's nice to see your research developing, how you dove into the data with the World Bank. What was that experience like looking at all the data from the World Bank? How'd you do that?
well, well, I looked on the World Bank and I did look on certain Google parts of the search, but it was a lot to take in. I mean, it's a whole lot. I didn't really get to look at like the databases of SDG, but when I went to the World Bank Open Data Organization, it did have a lot of information about, the whole how did they improve, like life expectancy was on there. Um, what I'm sorry, I feel like I'm choking. I feel like I'm choking. But I just want to say that I got it from, like, they had life expectancy, they had the female labor force participation. They had how the countries who are in low income, the indicators, the data sets, all of those things was on the World Bank. And that's where I got the data was from World Bank Open Data Organization. So
All right. Well, excellent. Well, any other questions for Jamaica?
sorry I couldn't speak as well because I was my throat was itchy, so that's why I was coughing so much.
Mm-hmm.
I had to drink some water because I couldn't talk while my throat was itchy.
Mm-hmm. I know that's happened to me many times before, and it
Yeah.
was good that you had some water there. And yeah. Um, well, Janal, are you with us? Janal Smith, Bermuda, England. Are you with us? Check your messages. Uh, or check the chat, Janal. And oh, okay, maybe. Okay. All right. Well, I think that we're down to the end. There's a diehard group here. So does anybody have anything they want to add or any questions, comments about anything?
Are we expected to just duck out when we need to duck out, or like?
Technically there's no, yeah, you can leave. We've gone over, a lot over, but I
By
just
over
kind
an
of,
hour and a half.
yes, I know. I just kind of felt like we needed to, a lot of people were wanting to present and we've had lots of people duck out and that's, it's okay. We're in the social hour part of it and it's okay. Um,
Cynthia,
but
can you hear me?
yes,
Oh, yeah, great. I would like to ask like a question
okay.
for Rohan. I don't know if he's still around.
Yes,
I'm here.
Rowan
I'm
still.
here.
Hey Rohan, do you think if we selecting like a specific country for the data set, would it be like creating like biases?
Depends on what kind of story that you want to portray. If
Yeah,
the
like
if you create a benchmark of a similar country, then you will eliminate the bias.
hmm,
For
yeah,
example,
like
if you're
what?
taking a region, you're taking Middle
Mhm.
East and taking Dubai as one country and comparing it with Libya, it makes sense because you're comparing similar economies, similar size of countries.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I saw like Dong presentation, I think he said that he's selecting those country out of like curious or like interest. Would it be like the good method, or like how do you interpret in that case? I'm just curious.
It has both its pros and cons because
Mhm.
when you're curious and you're trying to look at what could be the reasons, then you would end up specifying reasons which could be very generic or without knowing any nuanced analysis. But sometimes when you have a little bit of understanding, as you mentioned, it might bring in some bias. So both pros and cons are available. It is important to vet out the analysis with some existing research paper somewhere, and that makes the biases disappear.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
When it comes to the next the the next data analytic project, is do we do it on a different one? Can we do it on a different one or?
Great question. I personally am going to encourage you to subject jump. I'm going to encourage you to kind of, now that you're at the plateau, and you're going, you're going downhill, hit as many different targets as you can. We're going to end up with everything in the virtual museum for the ones that are good. So by now we know that we're on a schedule that keeps us moving forward. We have 3 rounds of data projects. We've just completed the second one today. So one more to go. And you submit it in My Deliverables, and then you get feedback from your mentor in the My Deliverables tab. And we're putting out the word amongst the mentors that for when you're giving out your input, the good ones, have suggest that everybody that they submit a story. And to submit a story, it's a different function than the My Deliverables. It's on the public facing part of the web or the platform, in the black words on the menu of the Pulse. We could always ask about that later in the upcoming weeks. But at the end of the semester, a bunch of stories accumulate at the very end. And we thought, since everybody's got so much data this time, that we would just go ahead and suggest that everybody start getting their stories in. And you guys have started submitting some stories. So if you submit a story, you'll see how you're kind of limited on your presentation, but actually you can get a whole Tableau dashboard. Uh, if you look at, I think it's Jacob Holohan's uh, work from last semester. He uploaded some either Power BI, no, it was Tableau, some Tableau stories, but see what he has in the story section. He uploaded 12 stories from his one data project. Last semester, everybody just did one data project. That was it. You guys are doing 3, so you have the ability to subject jump. And in the end, you're going to end up breaking up your dashboards into different stories and submitting them up on you know, which ultimately end up going to the virtual museum. So when you get a chance to look at the stories, it's the story tab, not the virtual museum tab, even though it's basically the same thing. But you can get to it easier if you just look at the stories tab. But we'll be talking about that in the upcoming weeks. So,
Okay.
any other questions about anything?
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Cynthia,
Yes.
This is actually my first project. I was only trying. The only reason I missed out last week because I was trying to get an idea of how the other participants did their projects. So next week will be my second one, and my third project will be the week after, which is week 9.
Okay. Well, and I tell you what, Matthew, it was really good to hear from you tonight. This is it's great. You've been around for a while. Just really good to hear from you. It was great work. Um, and that's actually something that we do have we're beginning to have two problems emerging. And some of the problems that we have are actually really good problems to have. But one problem is we have a bottleneck on videos and uploading videos. We just simply don't have the time, space, and wherewithal to get that done. So,
That's fine. I already uploaded a zip file of my first project, so I should on the platform
okay.
itself. So I'll do my second one next week and the third one the week after.
Awesome, awesome. And then the second problem that we're having is we're having a lot of data projects and not enough time to showcase them all. So it's good, Matthew, that you've tapped into the upload your video feature that's around someplace, which I think is in the
Yeah,
My Deliverables tab. So, so it's
thank you.
good that
I'll see you next week.
all right. Um, well, shall we call it an evening? Sarah looks like she's ready to go.
Sorry, apologies. It really bugs me that it's scheduled for 5:30 to 6:30 and it's 8:15.
Oh, well, you can leave when you need to leave, that kind of thing, so we don't have really an open, I don't know, maybe Manus says it's a certain time on the platform, I don't know, but we just kind of
Yes, it does say
go
5:30
into
to 6:30.
social hour after, you know.
Okay, so it's never explicitly been 1 hour.
No, it's goes from the 1 hour was our target for the meeting, and then it goes into social hours so people could stay as long as they want.
Okay, that makes it slightly better. Sorry. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Well, good to see everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Yes. And Rowan, hey,
Yep,
can
I'm here.
you let's see, Friday, are you able to come into the mentor meeting tomorrow, or is Monday better?
Monday is better.
Okay, okay.
Is better.
I look forward to picking up our conversation where we left off about
Yes.
those darn videos. So,
Yes.
um,
Because I think by that time I'll be able to. I tried breaking it up on Opus last week, but the video is too big, so I have to clip the video into two sizes and then make it into two parts. Once I'm able to do that, then I'll be able to share it with you, and then we can probably do it on scale.
mhm. There's just got to be a way where the YouTube collaboration can be, knowing more about that.
Okay.
I'm hoping that's kind of where I'm stuck. Is
I'll research it by Saturday. Don't worry.
yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we will see you all next meeting. And Richard, you doing okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we will see you all in the next meeting.
Okay. See you.